Now we have Emily Squibb, who's about to join. Minute Lounge, who's been in Young Frankenstein. She's been in the Matilda tour at the minute, international tour. Morning.
Morning.
You alright?
Yes, how are you?
I'm not too bad, thank you.
Good. How's it all been going?
Not too bad so far. So far.
Watched a few.
Cool. We're only 3 in out of, 15
Nah.
or something, so it's not too bad. Ask me at like 5 o'clock how I'm doing.
I will. I'll send you a little message.
Well, yeah, how are you generally kind of coping? Nothing going on at the minute?
I'll be honest. It's a roller coaster. As an
Yeah.
absolute roller coaster. Yeah. It's just disappointing that we can't do our job.
Yeah, of course.
I'll be completely honest. Like, I'm not going to be like, yeah, I'm fine.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, like I have good and bad days. I won't lie. Like, it is what it is. We can't do nothing about it, which is really frustrating. And we're doing everything we can, and like obviously having these kind of lives and stuff is great, just to keep everyone connected. But it's difficult. It is difficult.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah.
Kind of more general question. How did you first get into performing?
Oh God. I always enjoyed. I was that kind of kid that was always singing. I was always singing when I was little. And I didn't actually start dancing until I was 8. So for a lot of people, that's quite late, I guess. Loads of people are always like, oh yeah, I've been dancing since I was 2.
Yeah.
And I haven't. And it was just something I enjoyed doing. And it got to a point when I had to like choose my GCSEs and all of that. And I wasn't stupid. Like I was quite academic as well. So it was a big kind of decision to go, what do I want to do? But nothing ever really gave me the same joy as when I was doing stuff on stage or when I was singing. But the main thing was singing for me, because that's what I always like loved more than anything. And yeah, I kind of just progressed it from there and made a point of going, okay, this is where I'm going to put my attention and put all my hard work into. And then, yeah, audition for college. I danced like just at my local stage school before that. I wasn't like one of these, I didn't do festivals or any competitions or anything. And then yeah, I got into Lanes, and so I went there for 3 years, and yeah, just worked very hard, to be honest, and just like you have to, and was very lucky to kind of get to where I've got to so far. So yeah, I've always wanted to do it, and even in like times like these, where you kind of have to assess your career, and you kind of go, okay, well, I need to make money because I need to live. And you kind of sit back, and I go, I still don't want to do anything else. Nothing is the same for me. So it's it's kind of just happened. If I'm honest, I wasn't like pushed into it. It was always my own choice, and my family have always been very supportive. So I've been very lucky, and and I've just worked for it. I guess that's probably the best way to put it.
Yeah, amazing. Obviously, people don't know. I mean, you should be in the Matilda international tour.
Yes.
How was it going prior? I presume it was going.
For me, it was a dream show to always be in. I've been auditioning for like 4 or 5 years to do it. So it took a long while to finally happen for me. And it had the most beautiful cast, lovely people, and we all joined from the UK. There was about 5 or 6 of us that joined the cast that had already done it the year prior. So they were so welcoming, and we'd already heard they were like a lovely cast, but you never know. But they were so lovely, and yeah, it was going so well. We did all our dress rehearsals and everything. We started cover runs, and we got 9 shows in, and then everything happened, and we literally just got called to stage afterwards, and they just said that we think that was your last show in Manila, and we just all couldn't believe it. And yeah, we got flown home at that kind of weekend. People got flown back to wherever they needed to get to. And it just kind of happened, and we're still kind of, obviously everyone's optimistic to see what happens maybe next year, but we just don't know. But yeah, it was going so well, and it was so much fun. Is
it a different kind of production? Kind of, I don't know how it works. Obviously, the children, obviously, the main part on it. So
yeah, so we had 3 Bruces, 3 Erics. Oh no, sorry. We had 2 Bruces, 2 Erics, and 3 Matildas, and they were all like toured around with us. Obviously, we only did 1 venue, so as far as I'm aware, they tour around with us, and I think they have obviously a smaller contract date, and then they kind of assess whether they want to carry on. But yeah, and then they just alternated different shows like you would in the West End.
Yeah,
obviously, we just have less of them. And then the actual production, the main thing that is slightly different is just things like automation and the set, because the actual production's near enough the same, but things like we don't have the automated desks coming up, because obviously you don't have that in every venue, so we have tracks, so we push them on, and so bits of choreography will therefore be slightly different. But I'd say maybe 80 to 90% is the same.
Yeah.
So it's still the same production as the West End. And yeah, so just slight differences, mainly in set and automation, really.
And I
you
guess
still
that
have
means,
the twins.
does that kind of mean that you guys are playing some of the kids' roles, I guess? Because obviously in that West End there's a more larger...
Yes, so there's more, we call them kidults.
Yeah.
So there's, I don't know off the top of my head how many exactly, but say 6 maybe, kidults. So yeah, they're our age, but a little bit shorter. And they're able to play kids. Yeah, so other than the ones I mentioned, every other child is played by an adult. So it's also a lot more fun, I think, as well, because you can just have more fun with it, I guess, because obviously we spend all our time together, whereas in the West End you don't spend the time with the children. So it must be a different dynamic. I'm not sure, obviously. I haven't done it in town. But yeah, it's just, I think it makes it more fun. There's an element of more fun about it, which is obviously what you want when you're playing children. So
yeah, of course.
More kiddos.
Yeah, no, amazing. Yeah, because I saw The Boy in the Dress not long ago, and that's the same sort of thing. They're kind of they're more like 20-year-olds playing younger, as it were.
Yeah, I mean it's a lot of fun.
Yeah,
it's a lot of fun because you just have to kind of there's banging outside the window. There's you just have to go back in time and enjoy those moments and remember what it used to be like as a child. And because in times like this as well, everyone always goes, "Oh, wish I could be a kid again." So we're very lucky that we have a chance to do that in certain shows.
Yeah,
it is so fun. And you're just standing there in school uniform, and I mean, I'm 30 next year, and I was like, "What is my life?" And I think one of the guys is 43, and he's in school uniform. I was like, "You look young." You look young.
Amazing. Obviously, probably not the last role I saw you in, because the last role was Wizard of Oz. But obviously, Young Frankenstein's obviously the big one.
Yes.
How was that, and working with obviously like Susan Stroman, Mel Brooks?
Oh, something I don't think will ever be beaten.
Yeah.
It was just an opportunity of a lifetime, and for me, like, I think I am very, very lucky. I've been one of those people that I can happily say I've never not enjoyed a cast that I've been in.
Yeah.
And I think that is quite rare sometimes. I think everyone, you might say it, but I'm probably too honest for my own good sometimes. But I have had some incredible casts, and Young Frankenstein was just another one of those. It was like a family. And I think because we started in Newcastle, it was kind of similar. Hey, Molly. It was kind of similar to more like a tour beginning. So therefore we were all together. And it actually made us closer, I think, because you don't go home to families, you only have each other. So I think that really, really helped. But it was just an opportunity that I remember when it was being cast. I was in Promises at the time, and people were talking about it, and I'd never heard of it. I'm quite stagey, but I'm not that stagey sometimes. I go, what's this musical? And I hadn't heard, and one of the girls actually turned round, Alex Young. She was in it with me, and she turned around and she was like, "You'd be perfect for this because of your height and everything." And I was like, okay, I better get researching. And I remember just being in the auditions, and I was just like, this is just a dream. It just felt so right. And we had a very long audition process. And so to actually, when we all got cast in it, and it was just a dream. And, to be in the same room as Mel Brooks, for one, it's just something that, I've got selfies with Mel Brooks. Like, that's just ridiculous.
Yeah.
And I still can't really fathom it sometimes that that's even happened. It's just, and to work with Susan Stroman, who is a god in this industry. And I've always, she's always been a bit of an inspiration anyway. And to work with her was just, it is kind of indescribable, because she is a legend, an absolute legend. And she's just incredible at what she does.
Yeah.
And I don't, she can't be beaten in that sense. Like when she's in that room, she can't be touched, because you just do what she says, and she's so highly respected, which also helped because everything just worked like clockwork then.
Yeah.
It just meant everyone just did what they were told, which is what you need in such a high energy show as well. But it was just amazing time. Like I wish it carried on longer. I feel like all of us didn't want it to end, and you know, if the prospect of a tour ever happens, I know for a fact that everyone will be jumping on that bandwagon.
Yeah, of course.
Hopefully.
Hopefully, one day. Sorry, what I've written down. Obviously, another show, you must mention, Maiden Dagenham.
Yes.
Underrated brilliance. Just everyone who didn't see it was, it's one of them shows that...
So much fun.
Yeah, just how was the kind of creating that, obviously it's a new show that's obviously based on a film that people probably knew anyway.
I think the creative process of that is probably the hardest creative process I've ever been part of, because it was so many ideas in the room. And you know, you've got Rupert Gould like driving us, and you know, it was a lot. And because I was in swing, so that's probably why it was also very overwhelming, because I just had to sit back and watch everything unfold. And I think, you know, we had big sets, we had big ideas, and I think they just wanted to try and really drive the message forward. And then you have someone like Gemma Arterton, who obviously led our cast, who was one of the nicest people I've ever met as well, which obviously helps to be at the top of the cast like that. And it was just, there was so much passion in the room that sometimes it meant that it was a lot to take in, because it was just like, there's so many cooks right now. And I don't even know what number I'm on. Like, it was just very confusing at times, but it all led to what I thought was such a brilliant interpretation of the film. Because when you've got a film that to a lot of people is iconic, or to some people they've never seen it, it's hard to then make something of a musical from it by choosing the right points to highlight. And I think I think we did it really well. I just think we just needed more people to see it, I think, more than anything. And I think it is a shame that it didn't last longer. But I think in the grand theatre that we had, the Elderly, it was hard to sell a musical that you've either seen everything of or you've seen nothing of. So it was one of the, I think it was such a different, there was not an in between. So I think it was such a beautiful show. It's just a shame, I think, that it didn't last longer than it did.
Agreed. Another show obviously you're in, Stephen Ward. Is that kind of same kind of, obviously Andrew Lloyd Webber, a kind of original show, kind of that kind of adds its own pressure, I suppose.
Oh, don't. Andrew Lloyd Webber for me was just an icon growing up, and I came from a classical background singing, so for me, I always sung his shows, always saw his shows, and Phantom is a dream show for me. I remember doing the press release, and I remember sitting behind him and texting my mum and dad, just saying, I'm sitting behind Andrew Lloyd Webber right now. I don't know how to feel about this. Like, it was and like for me as well, I was luckily just come out of college, and I was still very like doe-eyed, did not really know what was going on. Just kind of got pushed where I needed to go. And but that was the same, like, had a beautiful cast who I still keep in contact with today. And you know, it was the same kind of process. It was big jigsaw, all these ideas were in the room, and it was just about putting it together. And you know, you had it was Richard Eyre and obviously Andrew, and then you had someone like Stephen Mear, who was just kind of like the icing on the cake for me as well, because he was just, his sheer brilliance of ideas, because he was being given all this stuff. You need these people here, you need this there. Oh, and by the way, can you choreograph an orgy? And I don't think there's anyone that can do that like Stephen Mear and still have class. Because I mean, I'm assuming did you see it?
No.
You didn't see it? Well, there was an orgy in it.
I missed it. So missed it. Damn it.
Which you've now discovered. And it was one of those things that I was like, you kind of like, we're doing the choreography, and it's just like, we're doing an orgy on stage right now in the middle of the West End. But yet it kind of works because it's Stephen Mear's choreography with Richard Eyre's ideas, and then Andrew Lloyd Webber music on top, and you're kind of like, this is so random. And I know it got very mixed reviews, but from a performer's point of view, I think I could happily say that all of us absolutely loved it, and I don't think anyone would say any different, because we had an absolute blast doing the whole show. And we had so many laughs on stage, which is obviously what it's about. You just want to enjoy your job, and it may not, it's such a great memory for me now, you know. It may not have lasted, and some people don't even know about it, but it was still a great time. But hard work I'd say, but best memories, I've got some of them. It was really great.
I guess kind of, like you say, sort of got mixed reviews. That kind of changed how you perform the show, kind of, if you kind of, I don't know if you read the reviews, but kind of like, if you
I used to read them. I don't anymore. I think for me, it should never, like, I don't think it would change anyone's. I think some people maybe, but I've never been in a role enough to that it would affect how I would perform stuff. Like, I would never get a personal review. But I think talking just from someone in general in the industry, I don't think anything should ever change your performance, because you have to be true to what you've decided to do. And unless the director or someone of I don't know how to put the words together. Just someone who is in more control of the actual show says something to you about a way you're doing something, I don't think you should ever change your performance, especially not from a review, because at the end of the day, it's an opinion.
I
think you should always value reviews, because they give value to ticket sales, and they give value to the way the public see you. But I think if say Young Frankenstein didn't get all 4 and 5, it would never have changed our show. We were lucky to get that, because we were deserving of it. But Stephen Ward got mixed. Like, we got a 5-star review here, we got a 2-star review here, but it doesn't change our passion and our love for that show as well. Because I think you just can't let it affect you, because otherwise the show would go to pot.
Of course. I mean, I've got to ask, it's only like 20 minutes down the road from me. Cove House, just I don't know, just looked bonkers from the outside watching the show. It must just be. I mean, I've never been in the rain yet. It might happen, but
normally happens.
No, the first time I ever went, Sound Music got cancelled because in the matinee that one of the children had fallen over because it rained.
Don't laugh.
No, I didn't laugh. No, because I was annoyed. Obviously, I was annoyed at the time because the show got cancelled. But is that kind of does that change a show? Because obviously, I mean, I don't know about the backstage stuff, but it's obviously, I mean, it's got a roof anyway.
It's got a roof. So on the actual stage, the majority of it is fine. It's like it's the end kind of meter, so to speak. Keep your composure. It's got like about a meter at the front where the rain can get to you. And for us, it was always really strange, because we were doing Kiss Me Kate, so the start of Act 2 was Too Darn Hot. So we were either doing it, and we had fans on stage, and the girls were all in like negligees and underwear basically, and the guys were like half shirt open, and we were either doing it in absolute boiling heat, so it made sense, or we were doing it in the rain. And so we're all standing there shivering, singing Too Darn Hot, and you just get a different reaction from the audience, because they just started laughing at us. And we were like, you keep laughing, and we're going to dance for you in the rain. But it's a completely different scenario, really, when you're doing it open air. It was really lovely, and it's a beautiful theatre. Like, I really hope they can open up sooner than expected for them, because they just lovely people as well, Adam and Celia, who run Kill Her House. But it's just, it was just like, you feel like you're kind of going through like a little enchanted wood when you go to the theatre, because you go over a little bridge with all the lights. It is really beautiful there as well, and I think they've done it so well. And they treat you very well there as a performer. So like, it's one of those that like, I'd love to go back there at some point. Half Sixpence next year, never know.
Okay, do it. I had three lots of tickets for it this year. So.
Oh, really?
And Andrew's on next, I think, Matt. I've got the director on next. I'll have words.
Have a word. So Emily. You need a Helen.
Sorry.
Talk to him.
No, you'd be amazing. But it's like, what's the biggest challenge of understudying, because obviously Young Frankenstein, I saw you twice as Elizabeth, and obviously she's not listening, but I preferred yours. But yeah, I'm not just saying that because you're here, but yeah. But what's like the biggest challenge? Is it? I mean, obviously you're going to bring your own interpretation, but is it hard to like? Cause obviously you can't change it that much, I suppose.
Yeah, I think that's hard because you can have you kind of you've got, I'd say, probably about everyone's laughing.
Is this true?
You've got about 10% to play with, I would be honest with you. Like, I think you have to be true to what the character is, and also you have to take certain decisions that your whoever you're understudying has made as well, because also you have to appreciate that that's what the other actors on stage are used to. Because you don't want to throw anyone else off by just giving them a completely different, like, because if you give it a completely different interpretation, the other actors have then got to change what they're doing, and that wouldn't be fair. I think with Young Frankenstein there was a little bit more room for movement because it was a comedy, so therefore you deliver lines differently. But there were also times where Mel Brooks literally said, you will have to say it like this. And like Ross always said, the amount of times he did what a pair, the amount of times Mel was like, no, it's what a pair, and he'd literally get up and be doing it for 20 minutes. And Diane had the same thing on a couple of the lines, that he was just like, no, you have to do it like this. Ta-ta-ta, darling. Ta-ta-ta-ta. And he said it has to work. He said, if you do it like that every night, you'll get a laugh. And like, I remember like at times I'd come off and I'd go, I didn't get a laugh for that. And then I'd talk to my resident director, Nigel, and he'd be like, that's because you did this. And I was like, I didn't do it like Mel told me to. And so it was, there's always room for movement, and obviously you want to make it your own, but there's also, you're an understudy. So you kind of don't have that power, but that's also, oh, we're starting something here.
So don't, to me in trouble now, I'm going to save this as well.
But you also, you kind of, you know that as an understudy, it's not your role. But you also, it's so amazing to get a chance to do a role that is someone else's, but you can put your own little spin on it at the same time. I think the biggest, I still haven't answered the actual question, have I? Biggest pressure is, I think, the first time you go on. Because it's one of those things where you've not practiced it with anyone that is actually on stage. Normally you do it with your other first covers or second covers, and or third and fourth, whatever show you're in. So I think it's more the pressure of making sure you do it right for everyone else. I think from my point of view, I'm quite a selfless person, so I always worry about everyone else more than I do myself. I'm like, I know my lines, I think, and I know my song, I know that I can do it. I just got to do it for everyone else, because I always worry that if I muck up, I'm going to muck someone else up, and that's what scares me to the core most of the time, more than anything, is making someone else muck up, and I'm like, oh, I'm sorry, I've done this wrong. And nobody's perfect, obviously, and things go wrong. But a lot of the time, it's just, you get the support from everyone else, so you're lucky enough to just enjoy most of the time.
Gosh, it'd be weird if they didn't squat. It'd just make the show hard, wouldn't
it? Exactly, it would. Everyone would just be like, no, just go on. But,
and obviously, you mentioned like Phantom and stuff. What would be your sort of dream roles to play generally?
Christine in Phantom was always a dream growing up, just because being classically trained, and I just love the show. Like, it's my favourite show on the West End. It always has been, probably always will be. Nothing really beats it for me. It's just the music. It just kind of captures me like nothing else, and I don't really know why. I don't know. I just but realistically, I'm getting a bit old now, so so we're pushing on the casting bracket for that now. So I mean, Les Mis, Fontaine in Les Mis has been a bit of a moment for me the last couple of years, especially now. I've kind of been seen, now I'm a bit older, I'm now being seen for that. So that, or obviously Wicked, because they're just two very stable shows as well, from a performer's wage type of view. It's something that I'd like to be in a stable show to go, okay, I can enjoy this and know that nothing's going to happen. But yeah, and I'd love to do either Glinda or Elphaba. I'd happily do both. I'm not picky.
Both, yeah. Do both at once. Just go, take the challenge. Why not?
Yeah, I'll just alternate both. That'll be fine by me.
Yeah, if it can't come back, you just have to. If it like obviously social distance, you have to just like one woman show. There you go.
Exactly.
We'll have words.
Yeah. I'll go talk to Jim Arnold who casts it and see if he likes the idea.
And half a sixpence, because obviously
yes.
we're gonna get that wrong now.
For me. Could you imagine?
If it happens now, I want to cook. If you both.
Yeah.
I'll expect it now. Feel good. No, what would like to kind of wrap it up? What would be your kind of best advice to anyone wanting to get into the business or?
I think if you're like looking into colleges, I think choose the correct college is the thing, because for me, I auditioned for like 7 and I only got into 2. I got into Mountview and Lanes, and they're very different colleges. And the main thing that drove it for me was the funding. I got funding for Lane, I didn't for Mountview, but I couldn't have gone anywhere else now I think about it, because for me, my dancing improved so much at Lane, and I think that's helped me become more of an all-rounded performer instead of just being able to do one thing, and I think that's helped me get the jobs that I've got. So I think choose the right college. I think if you're at college or you want to do it your heart has to be in it. Because one thing I used to teach, and the one thing I used to tell my students was just, if your heart is not in it, don't do it. Because it's hard. It's a very hard industry, and I think sometimes it's flowered and everyone thinks it's shiny and rosy. Oh, I'm on the West End. But I think people forget the amount of jobs you don't get in between those West End credits or tour credits or any credits. I think you have to be very self-assured, and you have to want it. You have to have the drive to keep going and never give up. And I think if you're not in it 100%, you'll get even 2 years down the line and you'll want to give up. And I think for someone like me, I've had those moments of going, oh, can I still do this? But like I said before, there's nothing that compares. So I wouldn't do anything else. I think you have to have the heart in it, and you have to just work hard. You have to keep your blinkers on, and you need to work hard. It's not an industry where you can slide through. And I think, some people can because they're talented or know the right people. I don't know. But, if you're, I'm just a standard girl from Essex who loves doing what she does, and I've had to work hard to do it. I've not been given jobs on a plate. I've had to work for it. So I think, as long as you're determined and you've got the drive, anyone can do it. But you need to work hard. I think that's the best advice, really. And don't give up. It's always worth it.
Amazing. Well, that kind of wraps it up brilliantly.
Oh, there was one question that a girl sent in on Twitter called Emmy.
Yes. Go for it.
She said, my favourite part of the show, and I'm going to say my favourite part of Matilda is the swings. I'm not very good at it, but it's really fun. And then what is similar to the show, to the books, and I would say the illustrations and the way it is choreographed. They always used to tell us that it was about how spiky it all is, and it's all kind of influenced by Quentin Blake's illustrations, the choreography. So that's something to kind of take away from my Matilda knowledge. So I'm going to let you get to Andrew though, because you've got to get to Andrew.
I won't get that part of last week.
No, exactly, quick. Connection. I don't know if you can hear me, Mark, but I'm going to say thank you for having me. Bye, 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 bye. Thank you, everyone. Have fun, Andrew.